I'm a Verizon engineer.
And I'm part of the team building the most
powerful 5G experience for America.
It's 5G ultra wideband, and it's already available in parts of select cities.
Like Los Angeles.
And in New York City.
And it's rolling out in cities around the country.
With massive capacity.
It's like an 8-lane highway compared to a 2-lane dirt road.
25 times faster than today's 4G networks.
In fact, it's the fastest 5G in the world. From the network more people rely on. This is 5G built right, only on Verizon.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Happy Monday. Thanks for joining us for a live version of Up to Speed. Of course, we'll have Hans on to take some of your questions, but our eyes are out west as we take a look at what's happening with the California wildfires. And we start this Up to Speed with an update on those wildfires. We are joined by Curtis Mentz out west with us with the Verizon response team. Curtis, first of all, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you for all you're doing to make sure the folks out there are safe, are connected, and are communicating with each other. What are you seeing out there? What's going on out there in the field, Curtis?
I'm coming to you from Pleasanton, California, here in Alameda County. One of the fire base camps here in Pleasanton, California, in Alameda County. In California, there's a significant number of fires that are burning all throughout the state. The Verizon crisis response team is on 24 different fires, 52 different deployments. We've got over 400 devices that have been loaned out there, and what's really making a difference is our satellite resources. We tend to head out into lots of different areas. In the fire business, they have things called spike camps, which are closer to the action, closer to the fire, and it allows those fire professionals to really help extinguish that fire. So the satellite resources in those coverage areas really are helping quite a bit. And I'll tell you, Andy, we would not have been so successful if it wasn't for the men and women in network assurance and system performance. Dave Schultz, Jenny Barr, and all the folks have been fantastic to work with, and we really need their support to understand how the network is operating, where we can actually move into, the quality of the network, and of course, Mike Elliott in the Southern California area.
So many people to thank and so many people on our team that make sure that when we run to a crisis, we mean it. Curtis, thank you for that update. I know you're in front of CAL FIRE's Mobile Communications Center. Are we doing anything are we making sure that we're assisting first responders and the needs of our public information officers in a way that makes their job a lot easier?
Yeah, you know, Andy, so I always have a saying, we are here to solve routine and complex communication challenges for the first responders and the public safety professionals. Just here at this particular fire base camp, we got a call from the PIO, the Press Information Officer for CAL FIRE. And what they do is they are fielding hundreds, literally hundreds upon hundreds of calls every single day from concerned citizens. And what happens is that they routinely took those on their Verizon wireless phone. Well, the volume was historic. The number of calls coming in from concerned citizens, literally the calls were in the hundreds per hour. So the PIO contacted us, and what we did is we took our One Talk product and we created overnight a 20-phone call center in one of the expo halls here on the fairgrounds. There are 20 people taking these incoming calls. Our One Talk product is absolutely fabulous. We created a hunt group, a auto attendant type of setup. So people, when they call in, if it is extra busy, they have the opportunity to leave a message. If they don't want to leave a message, they can press 1. They can continue to stay in queue. So it is a tremendous accomplishment. We've never done that before. So we're really excited to bring that to the public safety folks and the press information officer. And quite frankly, it could be something that may be repeated in large catastrophic type of events, in really helping the community to get the information that they need.
Curtis, it's amazing to see what our team can do when faced with that crisis. It's great to see the communications streamlined there for PIOs in that area. We would be remiss if we didn't leave you with a quick question about what's happening in the Gulf. I know your eyes are on the wildfires in California, but could you tell us what's happening with our crisis response team when it comes to the storms in the Gulf that we're monitoring right now?
Yeah, absolutely. My peers, Earl Struble, who manages the South, and Jason Mitchell, who manages the East, including myself, we are laser focused in on the weather events that looks like it's going to be a kind of a 1-2 punch, if you will, in the Gulf. We've got the weather event Laura and also Marco, and those events are coming in, and is Earl and his team, Jason and his team, and then also my team. We keep an eye on that because in our business, we've got a lot of former law enforcement, firefighters, military folks on our team, and we know how to juggle multiple incidents in our environment as a response, as a tactical response team. So those folks are laser focused on the projections, hurricane projections as they're coming in, and keeping an eye on it. Everyone around on the broadcast here should feel confident and know that we will run to that crisis and we will support public safety and our first responders who protect us each and every day.
Curtis, thank you for that update. And of course, please be safe out there. Really just proud of what we are all doing when it comes to running to that crisis. So Curtis, thank you so much for joining us on Up to Speed Live. With that, I'd like to bring in Hans for some opening thoughts and his reaction to really an incredibly busy weekend for our response team this weekend. Of course, they're also watching what's happening in the Gulf Coast. Good morning to you, Hans.
Hey, Andy. Great to be on the Up to Speed show. And hello, all V-teamers. Let me start by addressing a little bit what we heard from Curtis. I mean, unfortunately, the level of natural disaster are continuing. I mean, with storms, fires that are so devastating. And of course, we need to talk more in the middle of the pandemic as well at the same time. And one of the most critical things we have to serve our customers with is, of course, the connectivity and be able to communicate in times like this. And listening to what we're doing with the Verizon response team in these crises is just fantastic. But we also need to be clear that you don't fix the problem in the crisis. A lot of work is going in to prepare the network and the investments we're doing. And of course, then the innovation you see at the spot that Curtis talked about is just amazing. But this is something that is so important for us. And unfortunately, we will see more of these disasters given the nature is not really nice to us in these days with storms, fires, hurricanes, flooding. All of that will continue. And to keep the network up, that's almost the most critical infrastructure after getting food, of course, and healthcare. But other than that, communication for the first responders and for the public safety, as well for the citizens, that becomes enormously important in stressful situation like this crisis. And I thank the team for being out in the field in these times and actually running to the crisis as we're so good at and have a structure for. And I agree 100% with Curtis. Unfortunately or fortunately, we are trained to handle multiple crises at the same time, to see that actually we are doing the best for our customers and seeing the feedback we're getting from the customers in these times are so rewarding to understand both the importance of our technology, but also the people in the front line doing the great work. So it's great to see, even though I feel sad that we have so many wildfires, tropical storms, hurricanes, and just thinking about we're going to have a new type of storms coming together in one, that's horrifying to learn. And let's see and hope and pray that it's not having a devastating impact.
Absolutely.
Other than that, sorry, Andy.
Oh, yeah. No.
Other than that, just a couple of thoughts. And just this morning I got an update from Kyle, our Chief Technology Officer, on the network, on how the network is holding up during all this. And it's holding up very well. And again, it comes back to how we're prepared the network. And we have refueling the sites, we have redundancy, everything you can think about. We have been working over years to see that these networks are working in the time of the crisis and the most stress. And we know that these are the times when our customers are going to remember our service. This is the time that they're going to remember all the year and put the perception on Verizon. So I'm happy to see how we respond. Other than that, I always, when I'm on now on Mondays, reiterate the safety and health for all of you guys, regardless if you're working from home, you're in frontline, you're in store, you're out in the field. Continue to work the safety distancing and social distancing, wearing masks and all of that, because ultimately, if we can do that right, we're going to contribute to see that we are ending this situation with the pandemic that is taking a toll on all of us. The sooner, the better. So I just want to reiterate that. On the customer side, I can say that I talked to a lot of customers that many are getting into business as usual. They're getting into the new normal. This is how we work. We have less people in the office. The technology becomes even more important. And so the Verizon Business Group are engaging with many of the largest enterprises and governmental customers to see that we're doing right. At the same time, of course, we see that the Verizon Media Group is to continue with the innovation. And I'm not sure you're following NBA, but if you do, the virtual reality that Riot, which is one of our companies inside Verizon Media Group, has done a fantastic innovation. And we recently had an executive meeting with the commissioner of NBA, and he talked about the statistics of the usage. So we continue to innovate in this time will become very important. So that's where we are, and just a quick summary of what I see at the moment. But back to you, Andy.
Thank you, Hans. There's really so much that we are involved in. And yes, I'm following those basketball games, and it's great that we're innovating. At the same time, my heart goes out to everybody that's dealing not only with the pandemic, but the wildfires and the storms. And actually, this is a great time for us to really think about our colleagues as well. So let's talk about VtoV for a second as we take our next slide. Our Employee Relief Fund, of course, it's a great time to remember VtoV is our Employee Relief Fund. It's there for employees if they're displaced from their homes due to natural disasters. The fund is entirely supported by V-teamers who want to be there for their fellow employees in time of need. So learn more by searching VtoV on VZ Web. It's a critical time for all of us to step up and make sure that our colleagues are taken care of, and as we count our own blessings as well. With that, Hans, I'd like to get to some of our video questions here. So this video question is from Andrew Kamika, and it is on our mix and match plan. So let's take a look at Andrew's question.
Hello, Hans. I was excited to launch Mix and Match and see all the things that Verizon are offering to consumers. But I'm curious if you personally made the switch, and if so, did you use the Matchmaker quiz to help you figure out which plan is right for you?
Thank you, Andrew. Good question. First of all, I'm also excited of our mix and match. This is something that the consumer group has done fantastically. Started when we came out with the unlimited, continue to differentiate our offering to our consumers. So they have more choices that is more catered for the usage to have. And of course, the Mix and Match 3.0 that Frank Volban talked about last week, with a new bundle on the Disney Plus, or whatever you call it, continues to differentiate us. But also the way you want to simplify, the way you are coming to a conclusion, what type of a plan you should have. And of course, I've done the quiz, And it turned out that I'm the guys that needs everything that we can offer. So I ended up with Do More Unlimited. That was the conclusion after the quiz. So I guess that's what I have as well, because I have all the technology gadgets you can think about and all the unlimited you can have, because communication is such a vital part of the work I do every day. So, and I have a family plan as well, because I have the rest of the family doing unlimited Do More as well. So I feel that I'm doing my part of following the mix and match sort of suggestions. So no, it's a great way of continuing the work to customize our services for our consumers.
Yes, I also had a Do More result from the Matchmaker quiz. No surprise there. But I'm glad you mentioned Disney Plus, because it really truly is plus. I'm going to be watching a lot of ESPN Plus with my bundle, and trying to find more angles of that Luka buzzer beater from yesterday. Fantastic game, following all kinds of NBA. All right, Hans, we're going to get to our next question here. This is from Jill in Rolling Meadows from our VBG marketing team, and it's on distance learning, something I'm sure lots of moms and dads are thinking about. So let's listen to Jill's question.
Back to school is upon us, and so many parents are facing the challenges with schools adopting to new ways of learning, from remote to hybrid models. How is Verizon working to support schools across the country as they take on this new way of learning and help ensure that these models don't widen the digital divide?
Thank you, Jill. First of all, I have to agree with you. This is a situation where the digital divide can be increased. In a time when the mobility and broadband and cloud services are the most important infrastructure to bring our society together. If it's here in the US or rest of the world, doesn't really matter. The 21st century's infrastructure is mobility, broadband, and cloud. And if we can use that, then it shouldn't matter where you're born, where you are, or where you stay in order to get the same type of services. So I'm hopeful that we can bridge gaps with technology these days. And I'm also very proud of what we're doing in Verizon. Of course, we have our college student discounts that we have had for years and will continue to do. And it's even more important these times when we're going to have mixed mode, virtual mode for a lot of the students in college. But the other thing is also that the Verizon Business Group has worked with so many states. We have actually signed up with 38 states, 36 million students to be connected during the last couple of months. It's unheard of how big effort we're doing in order to support all these students coming back to school right now. So I think that a big portion of all the students coming back will be empowered by our connectivity and Verizon. So we're so happy that we can be part of that, and Tammy and the team and Andrew Zilando working with this daily have seen a fantastic feedback from the states that we're working with and our offering that we're doing. So that's two things we're doing. Then, of course, we have our Verizon Innovative Learning that we should be very proud of, which is, of course, focusing very much on the underserved school that doesn't have connectivity nor any technology devices or STEM education digitally. We have done that for quite a while, and we're now adding 110 schools. We also went for investing more in it. And so far, we have invested $535 million in the Verizon Innovative Learning to see that these schools are connected with broadband and the students has devices, but also that they have a STEM sort of digital education sort of package. That's part of our strategy, because ultimately we want these students that are not digital connected today are digital connected. Not only that, we want them to continue to think that Verizon is a great company, and ultimately we want more students or kids to like STEM education, and especially females. That's really what we want. So it's aligned with our strategy. We'll continue with it. Rose Kirk and her team continue the Verizon Innovative Learning, and we're going to continue to roll it out. We think it's an important piece of our Citizen Verizon work as well. So we do quite a lot in the education. Can we do more? Yes, and we will continue to do that, and might see new things coming up the days and weeks to come, what we're doing in bringing children and kids back to school. And we all know how painful this is, and that's going to be very different times in school for many of our children.
Well, it's such an important topic for so many families right now. And you mentioned those 36 million students. It's huge. It's a big number. We're going to learn more about exactly what that means when we impact their lives. We've got a Up to Speed coming up later this week, talking about all those back to school initiatives. So be on the lookout for that. Hans, before we get to our next video question, I do want to follow up here. You did mention earlier about some of the ways that we should all kind of be thinking about staying motivated and energized here. You asked employees to share some of their ideas on how to stay motivated as we begin in this phase 3 stage for an extended period. Can you tell us about some of the things the team is thinking about right now?
So a couple of things. We try to discuss that, and we try to listen as much as we can from the organization about how they feel right now after almost 5-6 months working from home. Not all employees. Some of our more heroic and great employees, of course, are out in the field and serving our customers in stores. But when we talk about a little bit for all our employees, I think that the Verizon app is important to get all new information, what's happening in the company, and I encourage everyone to use that. And we have got feedback that people are using it. We are trying now to get even better on crafting messages that are relevant for all our employees there. So I would encourage you to use the Inside Verizon app more and more. Other than that, we have also got feedback from many employees that we probably shouldn't add so much more at the moment. We should probably see that we are focused, to see that we're energizing our employees. One thing that I ask all the leaders for is, of course, that energize your team to sit down to review your Pulse result, the Pulse Plus that we concluded, as now information per group is coming out, so you can actually review it with your team and see how you actually do better. And one thing you should, of course, discuss is how do we continue to do this environment energizing, empowering, and great to be at, even though it's a totally different environment to work in that we've ever been before. Then we think about continuing with the virtual sort of all employee meetings. We need to go back to do things that we did in the physical world to do it virtually. So the leadership team are thinking a lot about that. How can we just replicate that, but we do it virtually? So we actually are not traveling, but we still can come out to sites and see that site get their questions and their discussion coming up. Then I talked about the tools when it comes to virtual meetings, trying to take some breaks in between the virtual meetings, try to differentiate what is home life and work life. All that becomes important. But again, it's about sharing the best practices in between us. We're a 135,000 strong organization, and there's a lot of good innovation and benchmarking in between our groups. So continue to stay connected, continue to communicate, and the Inside Verizon app is a good way to stay updated on that.
Hans, thank you. And for those who haven't downloaded yet the Inside Verizon app, it's in the Apple Store, Google Play Store. Just search Inside Verizon. It's a great way for all of us to stay connected and keep practicing and sharing all the great ways that we stay connected. Let's get to that final video question here. This is on 5G. This is from Joe Pratico in Basking Ridge, and he'd like to learn a little bit more about our 5G strategy. So let's roll the video from Joe.
Hi Hans, Joe Pratico here from the Talent Acquisition Organization. Thanks for taking my question. With AT&T and T-Mobile recently announcing nationwide 5G coverage, I wanted to see if you can give us our 3 bullets when we're speaking with our family and friends. Thanks again.
Thank you, Joe. And I'm happy you remember that I always have this dinner conversation, family and friend conversation, to be short and precise. And no difference on this one. 5G is in my heart, you know that. That's one of the most important strategies we have for the company. First, you should remind all your friends, that's the number one. Verizon has the fastest 5G network in the world, no doubt. That's number one. And we also have decided we're not doing any incremental 4G. We want to do a step change, something transformative in 5G. That's why we laid out the 8 currencies. That's why we do 5G mobile edge compute and 5G home. So that's very important to remind. We're not doing incremental and basically doing a 5G network that is very similar to our 4G network, which is also one of the best in the world. That's the second one. And the third one, we're going to add nationwide this year as well. Kyle and the team is doing a great job preparing our network for being nationwide as well, together with the ultra-wideband and the high speed. Ronan and Tammy is going to decide when we're going to launch it. And they're probably going to do it when it's a good commercial timing for it. So the technology team, the network and technology team are already prepared to launch it. And then Ronan and Tammy are going to decide which is the best timing commercially. So I feel really good about it. And I talked about it before. We had such a fantastic fall coming up here with so many new cities, mobile edge compute, nationwide, a lot of devices coming out. So I'm excited for the second half of this year. Even though we live in this pandemic and this tough situation, we are continuing to execute on our 5G strategy.
really making sure that the second half of the year really paving the way for some great success, regardless of what our challenges are. Hans, with that, thank you again for answering our questions, and I'll leave you with some final thoughts here, so some more dinner table talk as we conclude this Up to Speed.
I'm not sure I have more dinner table talk today, but just thanking all the V-teamers out there for the great work you're doing. It's unheard of time. I said it last Monday when I was on. I was so happy to see the response rate we got on the Pulse survey. It tells me that you want to make your voice heard, and we as leaders need to listen to it and adjust accordingly. The result was great, but we can always do better. Then on the second portion on that, I come back to this pandemic is not over. The economical crisis and how tough it is for people across the globe, that will not go away for a while. And I have to remind us of that. We see a tougher economic situation for many of our customers and people across the globe. We need to really attend to. And finally, in that context, we also talked about the racial injustice that we've seen and how we as a company embrace diversity, inclusion, and we need to see that all voices are heard. We need to reflect our communities because that's the way we do business at best. And I only ask you to continue to have that dialogue and conversation, but one of the core values has to be diversity and inclusion. So that's a little bit where we are. My week this week is exciting, lot of customer meetings. Last week was the governance week with all the 5-year reviews, the budget review for 21. That might not be equally exciting, but it's part of the job that I do. But this week is much more partners, especially the sport partners we're talking to, but also larger enterprises that I have the opportunity to speak to and see how we're serving them in these times. So exciting times to come. I ask all of you to stay safe and healthy in these times and see that you take care of your fellow V-teamers and colleagues and reach out to them and see that they all are staying safe and healthy. That's all for me, Andy.
Hans, thank you so much for your leadership, your compassion, of course, your inspiration on this Monday. We really appreciate your time. And, of course, thank you to our friends who asked some pretty important questions for us. As we begin to close and wrap up, I'd like to take the next slide here. You mentioned, Hans, our thoughts on racial justice. We should continue that conversation. And a reminder here, this Friday, August 28th, marks the 57th anniversary of the March on Washington. This is where Dr. King delivered his iconic I Have a Dream speech. So on August 28th, that's this Friday, noon Eastern, we will yield our time for Up to Speed Live to host a company-wide virtual march on Washington in partnership with our bold ERG. So this means all V-teamers who participate will contribute to Verizon's company-wide goal of 2.5 million volunteer hours by 2025. So sign up through our volunteer portal, make that virtual march, make that statement with all of us. V-teamers, if you're located outside of the U.S., sign up and lace up to complete the walk at 12 p.m. local time, so you can join us in solidarity no matter where you are in the world. You can make a difference. Really looking forward to that walk on Friday. Now, taking a step backwards to Thursday, let's talk about Up to Speed presents Next 20. We Have a Dream. Let's take our next slide here. Now, this Thursday, join us for a special edition of Up to Speed featuring our Next 20 series. Now, in this episode, we'll be joined by Rima, our Chief Strategy Officer. We've got Kayla Garner, Network Engineer, our bold ERG leader, interviewed by Dr. Clarence Jones, the co-founder and director of the University of San Francisco's Institute for Nonviolence and Social Justice. Now, Dr. Jones was a personal friend, attorney, speechwriter, and confidant to Dr. King. Actually co-wrote Dr. King's historic I Have a Dream speech delivered at the March on Washington 57 years ago. And in this installment of Next 20, Dr. Jones will share what he has learned as leader on the front lines of the civil rights movement and his hope for the future. And you can bet Dr. Jones will be marching on Friday as well. So look for that that episode on Thursday. Take another step back to Wednesday, and we have a fantastic event, LinkedIn Live event here. You see there, Diana will be hosting, and this one's called Ready for Your Close-Up. It's a LinkedIn lesson with Diana Alviar from our communications team, and we're getting ready for back to school. We're speaking, we're presenting virtually, and if some of that stuff gets you nervous, Diana's here to help. Our Inside Verizon team is here to help as well. So that's 2 p.m. on Wednesday. We'll be teaching our very first LinkedIn Live class. It's called Ready for Your Close-Up. By the way, Diana is a former news correspondent, so she's got all the tips and tricks to make sure that your presentations and all of your speaking engagements are prime time and ready to go. That's this Wednesday, 2 p.m. on Inside Verizon's LinkedIn page. So make sure you look for that. And so we've got a fantastic week ahead, a fantastic start with Hans and those questions. And of course, a big thank you and a big shout out to our crisis communications team responding to not only the wildfires, but getting ready for the weather that could be hitting the Gulf Coast. We'll be keeping a very close watch on that. But as Hans mentioned, we extend all of our thanks to those teammates and, of course, to all our colleagues around the world, hoping all of you are staying safe and just making sure that you and your families are safe as well. With that, until next time, you're up to speed.